Did you take advantage of the birthday sale yet this week? In case you missed it, in case you didn't hear, I actually turned 50 years old yesterday, and to celebrate, right now, this week only, the Tidy Home and your Homeschool Blueprint each are on sale for 25% off when you use the coupon code BIRTHDAY. You can purchase each of those separately or just one of them if you would like. This sale is only going on through tomorrow, January 23rd, 2026. You can get more details about either course by going to littlebylittlehomeschool.com and then checking out the menu, or you can go to direct links for each of those. Those will be in the show notes for you. I had a very sweet birthday yesterday with my family. They just showed me the love. It was just really good. It was a very good day. And they are hosting a birthday open house this weekend for friends and hopefully maybe family. We don't have any family in the area, so I'm not quite sure if anyone will make the couple-hour trip. But if they do, that would be special. But no hard feelings if they're not able to. But just for people to stop by during that time. And so that'll just be kind of nice. I don't need any type of obnoxious, loud, rowdy. I was like, let's do it in the afternoon. Mom wants to go to bed. I don't want to be staying up late partying or anything like that. But the big question is, will it snow? I have a history of birthday parties not happening and birthdays not happening because of snow. And not because we just get an inch. I won't bore you with all of the stories, although I think they're kind of funny. And when I tell people actually the stories, they're like, this can actually be somebody's actual track record with snow and birthdays. Yes, it actually is. And so it's not usually just an inch. It ends up being a lot of snow. I have been snowed out places. I've been snowed in places, all kinds of things. It's just kind of a little bit funny. But in honor of my birthday, don't forget that sale. But speaking also of family, that's what we're going to talk about today. I had some conversations with my graduated homeschoolers, and I want to share a little bit of those with you. Welcome to Little by Little Homeschool Podcast. I am your host, Leigh Nguyen, a mom who never intended to homeschool, but all these years later, I could not imagine a better life and a better way for my kids to be home educated and to grow up. My hope is that I may offer you the encouragement that you might be feeling that you need to either begin or to continue through all of the homeschool years. I am so glad you're listening to this episode, and are you ready? Let's dive into today's topic. Last month, I had a very organic conversation with my daughter. She actually brought it up one evening at dinner. If you are in a season where your kids are all young and you're all home for dinner, enjoy that. We are currently in a season where sometimes I will make a big dinner and it's just my husband and I that are sitting there at the actual dinner time, and everybody else kind of wanders in a little bit later. They get off of work or whatever they have going on, and they'll eat a little bit later, or they have to eat early and head off to a shift. And so the one evening, it was my husband, James, and our oldest daughter, who is currently living at home, and it was just an organic conversation. She just kind of brought something up, or maybe I was bringing up, honestly, I don't remember how it began. I was saying something maybe about homeschooling, not quite sure. But my daughter absolutely loved to read, but it hit her recently. This of what she suggests. So today I'm going to talk about the top things that my graduated homeschoolers say that you should do in your homeschool. This is from their experience. Things that maybe they didn't quite appreciate at the time. They might have liked it or maybe not liked it, but that having these couple of years to look back upon it, they can say, okay, I really appreciated that. So the top thing that she said, which in the conversation, I mean, knowing how much she enjoys reading, I wasn't too shocked, but like just as she continued to talk, and I was like, wow, I just didn't realize what an impact that time had upon her. So the top thing that she said that she appreciated and that she wants to encourage you, and I said, can I share this with the listeners on the podcast? She's like, oh, absolutely. And that is read alouds. You have heard me talk about it, and I'm actually going to link a couple of episodes in the show notes that have to do with read-alouds, as well as a short and condensed book list of some of our top read-alouds for the different age ranges that your kids might be in. A more comprehensive list is actually included in your Homeschool Blueprint. So if you use that coupon code BIRTHDAY, get into your Homeschool Blueprint, you'll be able to get that list that's a bit longer than the one that is in the podcast episode. But either way, I encourage you to listen to those episodes. I will link those in the show notes. But she just said, I didn't quite appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun to have you listen, but as I look back, and she's like, I just was starting to think about all the books that we read. And so we sat there, my husband was just kind of like, okay, I don't know a lot of these books because he was working hard to support the family. He wasn't there when we did all this reading. But she and I reminisced about different books. She would remember some and I would remember some. And then there were some we were like, was there a book about, and we were trying to describe it to each other and then trying to come up with the title for the book. And it was just a lot of fun. It was really neat to hear which ones really stuck out to her and the impact that they made upon her life. And the reason that she gave for how much of an impact that these made was, her and I were just thinking and talking, and that time that I did those read alouds, it would have been after all the lessons were complete, and would pull out a book and just do something that was more fun. There was no reason for maybe academic progress to read these books. It was purely just for enjoyment of reading, of listening to a story and getting caught up and imagining yourself in this story, and just for the sheer enjoyment and love of being together and reading together. When all of those academics, when all of the other stuff was complete, it would have been very easy for me to say, okay, that's done, book's closed, you guys go play, I've got some chores and I've got some things to do. And they would have just gone off and done that, and that would have been fine. Of course, kids love to be excused from what they need, like they're done with their stuff and now it's time to go ahead and they can free play. But no, we would sit there and we would do some reading and just have some enjoyment, just times for kids just to kind of get lost in the thinking about what we were reading about. And there were quite a few books that then afterwards we would watch the movie for. I feel a little embarrassed to admit this, but maybe, I don't know if it's maybe the time that I was raised, or maybe it was just I didn't pay attention. I don't know. But I had no idea. I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but you know what? Actually, no, I'm not embarrassed to say this. When we started homeschooling, I had no idea that Mary Poppins was a book. I didn't know The Wizard of Oz was a book. I didn't know, I did know James and the Giant Peach was a book, because I remember reading the book and then watching the movie at some point in my school years, I think, or it might have been reading the book and the movie might have come out years later, kind of getting probably some of my timelines mixed up. But there's a lot of movies that I had no idea were actual books. That's a little embarrassing. But I will tell you that was just, I just had no idea. I'm just flabbergasted by myself now. And maybe it was just the lack of information. And so I might be feeling like, oh, I can't believe I didn't know that. But I didn't grow up with the internet. I didn't grow up with this information at my fingertips. And movies were not as readily accessible then. I mean, now you can stream and watch most anything. You had to actually have the VHS tape. Or prior to that even, you had to actually just go to the movie theater. Or maybe it would eventually come onto TV and you could watch it. We didn't have cable. We didn't have any of this other stuff. And so I just remember being a little bit in shock and just being a little bit, oh yeah, sure, I knew that was a book. You're going to read The Wizard of Oz? What are you talking about? I thought that was just a movie that was on TV once a year. My mom would let me stay up late and watch it. Nope, it was a book. But anyway, back to the thing that she says that really had an impact and that she appreciated was the read alouds. And she wants to highly encourage you to do those read alouds. That time is worth it. No, maybe you are not necessarily checking off some rigorous academics at that time. You can read books that are for a lower age range. This year, my now 12th grader, I have read him a book or two that we never got to when he was younger. And I was like, you know what? Let's just read this anyway, just for the simple pleasure and enjoyment of it, and just the simple humor and just the simplicity of it. For me and for him, I don't know about for him, but for me, it was just like, just kind of a few moments, just 10, 15 minutes for us just to be able to breathe a little bit and just kind of get lost in a simpler time and a simpler book. So read alouds is what she would highly recommend. Don't forsake the time that you could be doing that. The chores can wait, that 10, 15 minutes, go ahead and read. Now, I asked both of my boys after this conversation with her because it got me thinking, I would love to be able to share this with you. And so I asked both of them, and my 21-year-old, he had an answer. The 17-year-old, I kept trying to prod him. And to be honest, even today, I started prodding him a couple weeks ago and forgot about it. And then today I was like, hey, so he could name a couple of things that he's glad that he's missed out on. And I thought because he's a bit of an old soul and it's just been him and he has seen the things that his siblings have appreciated about homeschool and has seen them launch out into the world, but he didn't quite have anything. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to push you because I really think that a couple years down the road, he's going to be able to answer that question. Maybe I'll share it with you if I'm still podcasting then, hopefully, because this is a lot of fun. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to push him because he's still in it. There's still things that he's like, I don't really want to do this. And so there still is that little bit of it. And I was like, you know what? That's all right. I'm going to ask you in a couple years, or hopefully maybe you'll just offer that information to me and it'll just be kind of an organic conversation. But I did ask my 21-year-old and he did give an answer. He said that in light of that fact that there's been a couple of years, so he has actually been, it'll be 4 years this spring since he has graduated. He graduated homeschool a year early. So for my daughter, it's been, I guess, 5 years. And then for him, it's been 4 years, even though there's 2 years in between them. But what he said was, just straight out, is what he appreciated and what he would say that you should do in your homeschool is to be a good parent. Now, I do have an episode about how homeschool is not just about the education, and I'm going to link that in the show notes for you as well. Because this is one thing that I didn't quite grasp when I decided to homeschool our kids. Well, when the Lord told us, you need to start homeschooling, and I said, okay, we'll do this. I didn't quite fully understand that homeschool is just an extension of motherhood, of parenting, of discipling and guiding and offering direction and correction and reproof and discipline. And it's just an extension of that. It's just us learning and living together. And so as I began to realize that, and that's what that episode that I'm going to link in the show notes really is about, that it's just about so much more than completing that math worksheet or figuring out the order of history from World War I or something like that. And he just said to be a good parent. Now, there's a disclaimer that you don't need to be perfect, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But really, then I was like, okay, what does that mean? What does that look like? And so he had a couple of things that he would recommend. He said, recognize the child in front of you. And I was like, oof, yeah. And he's the one that taught me to recognize the child in front of me because he's very different than his older sister. And I had become very used to parenting her. She was just very easygoing and I knew her well, and he was a bit of a wild card. And so recognizing the child that is right in front of you as far as when it comes to education and when it comes to parenting. He also said adjust as needed. So recognize that child in front of you and then adjust as needed. As that child grows, as they then hit puberty and there's hormones and there's emotions that are going. This is for males and females, for boys and girls. It's going to look different, but recognizing that for a few years, I just remember both of the boys being like, where is their brain? They just can't even, I can't give them multiple things to do. I'd have to take the garbage outside and they'd have to come back in and tell me. I'm like, at 4 years old, I could give them 3-4 things to do and they would just go and do it one after another. Remember, I'm like, I have to just do one at a time, one thing at a time to do. Okay, great. Took the garbage out. Now go and do this. And so it's adjusting as needed. It's adjusting as they mature and as they grow. It's also adjusting when they make mistakes. It's adjusting when maybe you need to pull back. Maybe you've given some freedom to them and you have seen that that's been a bit too much freedom and you have to pull back. So adjust as needed. And he said, you don't need to be perfect. And I was like, yes, thank you. Because James and I were definitely not perfect. We'll never be perfect. None of us will be perfect this side of eternity. And so recognize that you don't have to be perfect. You're going to make some possibly bad calls. You're not going to do things, but as we parent and as our kids especially get older, we start to help them recognize that we're doing the best that we can. Let's work together. Let's partner together in this and recognize that there are times that we have made mistakes and it's apologizing for those mistakes. And then make sure, the last thing he said under this being a good parent is to make sure that your child knows that you are for them. You aren't against them. And so this time of maybe discipleship or discipline, this is because I am for you. And that has to come out of, we can't ignore our kids in a lot of things and then suddenly come down heavy on them. There has to be that relationship so that they see, okay, I don't like this possible consequence that my parents have given me for something that I did. But I can recognize that they are for me. They are working for me in so many different ways. And this isn't something that we make them feel guilty about. All of this time that I pour into you and the home education and the feeding of you. No, we don't make them feel guilty at all. This is what we have chosen to do. But just make sure that they know that you are on their side. And that comes with connection outside of times of discipleship and discipline and reproof. I hope this has encouraged you. So top 2 things that my graduate homeschoolers say that you should do in your homeschool is read alouds and to be a good parent. And I summarize that with a couple of different things. Before I close out, one last time that if you did not get to that birthday special on the Tidy Home and your homeschool blueprint, I'm not sure when or if there will be another sale this year for 2026, but if you haven't gotten in, this sale will end after tomorrow, January 23rd of 2026. Use the coupon code BIRTHDAY to get 25% off of either one of those courses, or you can go in and you can purchase both of them. The links for that will be in the show notes, or you can go to littlebylittlehomeschool.com and /tidyhome or /blueprint or just to the .com and then go ahead and use the menu. But thank you for listening to today's episode. I promise to be back here after the weekend. And what do you think? Do you think it's going to snow on my little birthday party? We'll have to see. When I turned 40, I went to a different state to celebrate my birthday, and we got 2.5 feet of snow at that birthday party. I'm just wondering what's going to happen this year. Oh, it's just the joy of having a birthday in the winter. But anyway, have a very good weekend.